Hey guys, Paul Lungard here in my first of hopefully many series on daily fantasy football super deep sleepers. I've been playing fantasy football for about 25 years. I've been doing daily for a couple years. I did really well last year, won about $800 playing dollar tournaments. I play tournaments only for big money, and this is big money tournament strategy. What I found is you need to get double digits out of every single position. You can't afford to get the top names at every position. You need a couple, two or three sleepers that are cheap so you can afford the bigger guys, and you need all of them to do well. And this series is going to focus on those cheap guys that are going to return value. I'd like to start off by saying that my prayers are going out, and hopefully everybody's thinking about the hurricane folks in Houston and Florida. Let's put that into perspective. I have Jay Ajayi that I drafted number 1 overall in the 11th spot in one of my leagues, and not playing him this week. I'm not going to bitch about it because that's trivial compared to what's going on. So I do DraftKings because no kickers. I hate kickers. In my league of record, actually Russian roulette here in Indianapolis, led by the commissioner of choice, Jeff Fiddler, we have voted out kickers and we do an IDP. So that's why I do DraftKings. So if you do FanDuel, it's going to be a little different, but I think the strategy is probably the same. I just have never done FanDuel. So we're going to start off with defense this week, and it's the Rams. I'm playing the Rams in over half my lineups. I'm going to do about 10 to 15 lineups a week, and at least half of them are the Rams. Playing my woeful Colts. Hey, when you're playing for money and we're playing fantasy football, you got to put your feelings aside and think about what's really going to happen. No Vontae Davis this week. No Andrew Luck. I think the Rams are going to do really well. I'm also playing Houston and the Steelers and Atlanta. And I love stacking defenses with their running backs. A lot of people don't talk about this stack. This is my stack. I love playing defenses with the running backs. If the defense does what they're supposed to do, puts the ball in the offense's hands, the next guy that's going to touch the ball is probably that running back. And if they do really well and are ahead at the end of the game, then that running back's salting away the game. So play Todd Gurley with the Rams, and obviously Freeman with the Falcons, and Lamar Miller with Houston, and Le'Veon Bell with the Steelers. Lamar Miller, a lot of negative talk about him this year, but there's no Alfred Blue this week, no Deontay Foreman. I think they're both out, so I like Lamar Miller to have a good game too. Moving on to the tight end position, I like David Njoku this year. I like him this week to start off the gate hot with the rookie quarterback, tight end's rookie quarterback's best friend. Big guy, soft hands. I think he's going to do work along with Duke Johnson out of the slot, which we'll talk about that later. Evan Ingram this week. Cowboys gave up a ton of points to tight ends last year. Another big rookie tight end. I think we'll develop a nice rapport with Eli, especially if Odell's going to miss the game. I'm going to play him either way, but if Odell misses the game, I'm feeling a lot better about it. And then my super deep sleeper at tight end this week is Charles Clay. He's going to be Tyrod Taylor's binky this year. Tyrod Taylor, the only guy that he's thrown to that he has any rapport with, and the guy's flashed great in off-season OTAs and preseason too. He's passed the eyeball test. This is his 3rd year too. So I love Charles Clay this week, like $3,200, I think, really cheap. Moving on to wide receivers, I love Paul Richardson this year. I love him this week to start off the gate good against the pack. Last year, him and Lockett and Curse were all kind of fighting over that number 2 spot, but they traded Jermaine Curse, and Tyler Lockett is going to play out of the slot, they said, this week, and also return kicks. I think that's a good omen for Paul Richardson to be that number 2 wide receiver locked in, and I think he'll have some big plays and return value on his cheap price tag. Marquise Goodwin. Wide receiver. This year's Taylor Gabriel, maybe. Kyle Shanahan offense. Love him to stretch the field. He's fast. He's like 4.27, 4.29 speed. And he only needs to catch that one. I mean, in the preseason game, he had one catch for 50 yards and a touchdown. If he does that, then he's return value, and you're going to be going, wow, man, this is great. So you can, stack your other positions with higher priced players, playing him in there. I like stacking him with Hoyer and stacking Paul Richardson with Russell Wilson. So moving on to quarterbacks, Brian Hoyer is going to be throwing a bunch, and he's very underrated. He actually made DeAndre Hopkins pretty happy. So I think he can make some fantasy relevance this year. Stack him with Marquise Goodwin with confidence. He's cheap. Jared Goff, mentioning the Rams earlier. Go ahead and put Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, and the Rams D on a stack. That's going to afford you to play a lot more bigger players in your other positions. I don't think he's going to light it up and be the number one quarterback this week. I'm just saying he's going to return value on his cheap price tag. And then lastly, Deshaun Kaiser, running quarterback. Colin Kaepernick, anyone? Robert Griffin, anyone? Russell Wilson. So I like him to run for about 70 yards a game this year. I like him to score this week. I think his floor is really high with that running ability. Go ahead and pair him with my next guy is Duke Johnson. This week, cheap. He's going to play out of the slot. He's going to get a lot more work as a wide receiver. Kind of this year's reverse Ty Montgomery. So he's switching from running back to wide receiver. I think that bodes well for Crowell as well. Running quarterbacks favor running backs in fantasy football. So I think he's going to get a lot of work. I like him for his price tag this week. And then I saved running backs for last because my super duper hibernation locust sleeper is Mike Tolbert out in Buffalo. They released Williams this week, and everybody thought Williams was going to be the backup. Everybody's looking for this year's Mike Giselle. McCoy's going to get a ton of work, but he's not going to obviously get every snap. So late in games when they were ahead, the few times that they were ahead, Giselle did really well. He got goal line work too. I think this is going to be one of those game scripts where Buffalo's ahead. The Jets are horrible. So I like Mike Tolbert to return on his price tag. He's $3,000. All right. Now, if he only gets you 4 points, I'm sorry. These aren't all going to hit, like I said. But I like him to get more like 12 to 14 points this week. So share these with your friends. Give me a like. I want to win you guys money this year, and I want to get exposure and hopefully maybe get a part-time gig doing this for some big network or something. So, if that doesn't happen, I'm going to continue to do this and just for fun. But give me a like anyway so we can get maybe some momentum going here. You guys are in on the ground floor for week 1. Again, prayers out to the hurricane victims. Let's do this, guys. Let's make some money. All right? Bye.